Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Hi, everybody. So some stuff has happened as life does, and my feelings are demanding to be felt. So let's chat about the stuff and the things and the feelings. I kind of have two segments in mind for today's episode. Front load it all with the feels and just the emotional stuff I've been dealing with, and then backlog it with some of the tools I'm going to use to deal with it. Because I don't make New Year's resolutions anymore, but I was listening to Pantsuit Politics, which, incidentally, one of my favorite podcasts to listen to. It's this really great, nuanced discussion between two women who are roughly center right and center left as they discuss like policy and politics. And one of the commentators, what do you even call podcast people? One of the pod people talked about how every year she sets an intention, and the intention is just one word. So her intention for the year is gentle. And I really liked that idea. So instead of setting a resolution, I'm focusing this year on what's a thing that I can build within myself. And my word for this year is trust, which is probably a really difficult word for 2021, all things considered. But, so my intention is to grow my trust in myself and my trust in others, trusting the words that they say, trusting their intentions, and kind of excising my historic lack of trust in other people and myself. So, all that in mind, let's do the thing. This past Wednesday, for our weekly reflection session, our students had organized this reflection as a memorial service. One of our recent alums and a beloved member of our community passed away because of COVID. So the students planned a memorial service for them and also intended to use the space as a shared grieving space for all of those that everyone in the Zoom had lost to COVID. And as is often the case with shared space for grief, that idea then expanded into holding space for everyone's grief. Whatever the grief was, if it was COVID related, if it was death related, if it was, I'm going through a difficult time right now, shared space for grieving. And one of the speakers was one of our associate professors who, in addition to being a complete badass and a really interesting panelist and person to run discussion, she has this unique ability to make me cry. I think every time I've heard her speak in the past several months, she's managed to make me cry. So when I saw that she was going to be one of the speakers, I was like, oh shit, this is not going to end well for my tear ducts. Which was also, I was hesitant about that because not only was I, as ever, running the Zoom because that's my job now, but I had to be on camera because I was also participating in this chapel. I was doing an art piece. So my face was on camera, which is not always the case for these Zoom sessions, but there I was. And she started talking. She was sharing some of her grief and making other remarks about grief that just hit me right where I live. And I started bawling, especially A, because her words were really beautiful, but B, because I'm still I'm still processing that cemetery trip that I took on MLK Day. And so Dad's been on my mind a lot. And my dad-shaped feelings have been very close to the surface, very present. And I'm trying to be a good little therapy patient and let myself feel that stuff. And it's really difficult. So when our professor was talking, all that feeling poured out of me. I was bawling. And there was something about that shared space. Now, in the past, I have not wanted to do any sort of group therapy. I have not wanted to share my grief with strangers. I grieve privately, to the point that I don't even let my family see me sobbing. But there was something about this communal held space, this communal sacred space that was explicitly being held for the purpose of grieving. Somehow that background knowledge made it a lot easier for me to feel safe in the fact that I was bawling on camera. Probably also helped that I was not the only person who was bawling on camera. Pretty much everybody broke down in sobs at one point or another. So that shared grief felt a little bit lighter because there were other people to carry it. There were other witnesses to our feelings. And for the first time, I felt really safe in that communal grieving atmosphere. I don't know if it's an experience I necessarily want to repeat, but I was grateful to have it. And it got me thinking more, as if I needed to think more, about my recent trip to the cemetery. And I think I have landed back at where I began. I don't find Dad in the cemetery. That is where his physical remains lie, but that's not where he is for me. He is not omnipresent, but he's here with me. He's with Mom. He's with my sisters. And most importantly and most sacredly of all for me, my dad is in theater. That's where I feel the most connected to him. That's where my memories of him are the strongest. And A, it's good to know that. B, it just breaks my heart even more that there is no theater in Chicago right now. My deepest and truest and most beloved way of communicating with my father is not available to me right now, and it sucks. And I think one of the reasons that it hurts so much to not have theater available to me is theater is where my good memories are. Theater is where all of my favorite childhood memories are of toddling after Dad in the green room, of sprinting through the basement storage areas and using costume racks as scooters and wandering into the wonderland that was the costume shop. Like, that's where my dad is. And when I'm in a theater was always Dad's and my thing. He would bring all of me and my sisters to the theater for babysitting often, but I'm the one who fell in love with theater, and I'm the one that had that connection with him. And right now, I cannot go to my sacred space. I cannot go to that place where I'm watching 6 kinds of magic blend together to create a show. And it's killing me inch by inch that I got nothing. My previous breaks from theater have been voluntary. And I think the longest that I've ever taken a break from theater is not quite a year. So I'm coming up on, this is the longest since high school that I have not been involved in a theatrical production. And it is killing me. Of everything that COVID has changed and put on hold and fucked with, I can deal with pretty much everything except the loss of theater. So Mom was actually talking to me about, you should talk to some of your theater friends, see if you can do like a Zoom improv session or do a play reading together. I'm going to look into that. I think I'm going to see if I can set that up because, oh my God, I need something. I'm like an addict going through involuntary withdrawal. This is awful. Getting back to the feelings, I am trying to deflect from my feelings. Bad Roxy. Okay, so my feelings. As I was sitting there on that Zoom call, the first outpouring of feeling that I always have whenever I start crying over my father, the first part of it is always the sense of loss, just the crushing enormity of what I have lost. And a lot of the times I'm not able to push through that first wave to get to anything else that may be hiding in my grieving. So a lot of the times I'm kind of stuck in that I lost you, you left me. I haven't had you in my life since I was 15 years old. There's not a day that goes by that I don't miss you. Somehow, again, in the safety of this shared space, I was for once able to cry as a means of getting that grief out. Not normally the case for me. Normally, I don't find crying to be cathartic. I find it to just be exhausting. And it's something that I try to avoid. But for once, crying was cathartic, and I felt weight lift off of me. And the grief was, of course, it was still there, but it was easier. And I felt something settle, which was great. So for once, crying and a shared community grieving was actually really helpful. And I'm grateful that I got to participate in that. Underneath all of my saltiness about, God damn it, woman, how is it that you make me cry every time you open your mouth? This is not fair. So that was what I was carrying last week. And then today happened. And oh my God, I need to rant about today. So this is not related to grieving or my self-care tips that are coming up. This is just, I need to rant about my Monday. So I woke up this morning kind of in that mental fog that, like, it felt like the last week hadn't ended yet. Like I was still living in last week. I went and I walked to Starbucks, which in and of itself was an adventure. I think I've made it pretty clear that I live in Chicago, and over the weekend, Old Man Winter decided to just plop down in Chicago all at once. We had 13 inches of snow this weekend. And by 8:30 on Monday, not all the landlords had gotten around to shoveling their sidewalks and salting things down. So it really was like a building by building change as I was going on this walk, where there were some buildings where it was easy to walk and I did not fear for my life or my ankle. There were some blocks where I was like, oh God, I'm going to just like turtle crawl along this stretch of sidewalk because I'm afraid to fall again. So I went and I got Starbucks because I knew that today I was going to need lemon loaf fortification. I am attending a virtual conference tomorrow and Wednesday, which I'm really excited about. It's going to be a really great conference. However, I'm sort of taking those 2 days off of work. Like, I'm not going to be available by email. I will be available by text if there's some sort of Zoom calamity, but other than that, I am disconnected from my inbox, from everything. I'm not even running the Wednesday reflection session this week. I have my boss doing that for me so that I can focus on this conference. So today I woke up and like the first thought on my mind after I had gone and gotten the Starbucks was, okay, I need to get through like 3 days of work in one day. I need to get through my inbox. I need to make sure that I have no urgent client stuff to deal with. I have to I have a somewhat sizable, maybe half-inch stack of notes from other webinars that I've taken, from research that I'm doing for various projects. And I was like, I need to start getting all of this taken care of so that my mind is clear and I can handle this conference over the next 2 days without going absolutely insane. So I spent today just kind of overwhelmed by, okay, I need to finish this webinar. I need to take notes. I need to do research on this thing. I need to keep track of my inbox. I have a meeting here. I have a meeting there. It was a lot. And it felt overwhelming in a way that it doesn't always. Like, normally my Mondays don't faze me, but I think because I was so aware that the next 2 days I'm unavailable, like I wanted to have things wrapped up. And it was one of those Mondays where I was already kind of running behind because we had an event on Sunday. So I needed to wrap up the notes from Sunday and email people who needed to be emailed. And then I had to sit down into Monday, and it was a lot. It was just a lot. So by the time I got to 3:30, which was the start of my last meeting of the day, I was already frazzled and I was almost brain dead. Like I could not focus anymore. Fortunately, this last meeting only lasted half an hour, so that wasn't bad. And after that, I could close my day. So I did, and that was helpful. But yeah, so this has been a really manic Monday, and I'm desperately hoping that today did not set the tone for the entire week. If my entire week is like this, I am running away and joining the circus. Henderson, I will swing by Florida and pick you up, and then we're going to the circus. Like, no, I can't have an entire week like this. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. That kind of transitions us out of the feelings portion of this episode. And now I'm going to transition into the other half, which is, as I mentioned, my intention for 2021 is trust. And while I was at Target over the weekend, I had passed by their electronics department because I needed a new set of headphones. And Target had all sorts of like really interesting self-help books available. So I looked at those books. I looked at my my Target gift card from Christmas, and I was like, we're doing this. Okay. So I'm going to move my cat out of the way. I am now going to show you the books that I have purchased to assist me in my quest for better mental health this year and to help me develop trust. There are 5 books in this pile. One of them is cheating, and I'll get to that later. I do have to put in the disclaimer, I have not yet opened any of these books except for the cheater in the back. I have not started working on any of these. So I can't give an actual book review, but I think it would be an interesting project to keep coming back to these books throughout the year and to keep giving updates on how they are or are not helping. So here are the books that I purchased from Target, except for that cheater in the back. This first one is 101 Ways to Be Less Stressed by Dr. Caroline Leaf. And it's simple self-care strategies to boost your mind, mood, and mental health. I thought that was great. I mean, I can always use more be less stressed options. Let me flip through here and read a couple of the suggestions. Sometimes it's better to focus on facts rather than emotions. A, that's true. B, my therapist is trying to get me to think in the complete opposite direction because I'm so good at going straight to analyzing instead of feeling my feelings. So I got to find a balance with that. Let's see. What else? Take a warm bath or shower before bed. Yes, please. I have a small collection of like bath products, like bubble bath, Epsom salts, a ton of bath bombs because I'm a huge bath ball slut. Every once in a while, I have to remind myself to actually use the products. Take the bubble bath. Use the bath bomb. Why are you holding on to these if you're not going to use them? So that's the thing I got to work on. Make gratitude a priority today and every day. Agreed. I think that's important. So yeah, this is a really small little purse-sized book, and I think it's going to be really cool. It's 101 ways. So if I do 2 a week, I'll get through this book in a year. I'm going to have to like pack it a little bit more since it's February and I've lost a month of time, but still. So 101 Ways to Be Less Stressed. Looking forward to going through that. The second book is My Pocket Meditations for Self-Compassion by Courtney E. Ackerman. Anytime exercises for self-acceptance, kindness, and peace. And this one I'm really interested in because it's more meditation based, and I love me some meditation. So let's look at a few of these meditations. Focus on loving one person. Sometimes you need to start small with your self-development, and that's okay. You don't need to get anywhere overnight. As long as you're making small positive steps, you're moving in the right direction. So if you struggle with giving love to those around you, it's fine to start with giving your love to one person. Oh, I like that. That's going to be great for trust. Let's see. Show your body gratitude. Whoa. This meditation is a great way to boost your acceptance of and compassion for yourself. Both body positivity and gratitude are also excellent goals in and of themselves. We often view our bodies with an eye for flaws and a cynical perspective. Guilty. But that's not conducive to a healthy relationship with you and your body. Instead, start practicing gratitude for your own body. Well, fine. One more. What else do we have? Flip. Plan out your next display of affection. Ooh, that's cool. It might sound odd, but planning out your next moves when it comes to showing your love for others can double the positive vibes. You get one boost of love and goodness when you plan it out, and another when you actually do it. As a bonus, the more time you spend thinking about and planning on giving love to those around you, the greater your capacity for experiencing love for your family, your friends, and yourself. Try planning your next display of love and affection to boost your capacity for love. That's really cool. So cool. New meditations. Woohoo! This one is possibly my personal favorite of all these new books. This is Personal Finance 101 by Alfred Mill, a crash course in managing your money, from savings and investing to taxes and loans, an essential primer on personal finance. I bet my mom is super happy that I bought this book. So yeah, this has all sorts of tips for like how to establish and use your 401k, resolving student loan disputes. That's not useful to me because I don't have them. I am probably the one student in the past 20 years who does not have any student debt. So I understand that everybody wants to hate me right now. But yeah, so it's stuff like understanding the Credit Card Act of 2009, online banking, plugging spending leaks. Like this looks like it's going to be all really good, practical, useful, actionable advice. So hopefully when I get to 2022, I will be a bit more financially stable than I was in 2019. The next book, this one is actually really much more of a journal, is Find Your Joy by Jennifer King Lindley, a powerful self-care journal to help you thrive. It's actually a pretty thin book, but it's got all sorts of space for all types of journaling. So let's investigate this a little bit. One way to keep from taking the blessings in your life for granted is to practice what experts call mental subtraction. That's when you consider what your life would be like without something or someone. Think about someone very special to you. How would your life be less rich if they had never come into it? Oh shit, that's deep. What do you want to be remembered for? Oh God, this journal is going to kill me. Our anxieties tend to ambush us at night when we don't have the daytime's bustle to distract us. Oh God. List 3 top worries that are no longer allowed anywhere near your pillow. That's super important because I inherited my mom's propensity for butt fuck o'clock anxiety attacks. Hers hit her at 5 o'clock. Mine hit me at 4 in the morning. So the journal prompts in this book are going to kill me. But it's a lot of really good stuff to think about, it looks like. So find your joy. The last new book is called Chatter by Ethan Kross, The Voice in Our Head, Why It Matters, and How to Harness It. This one looks like it's a much more traditional, straightforward, read all the way through book, whereas the others are again, meditations and journal prompts and one-a-day ideas. But yeah, it's supposed to help you find harmony with the voice in your head. And considering that I have an entire peanut gallery in here, it might be really nice to figure out how to make that peanut gallery productive. So the last book that I've got, it's not new. I bought it several months ago, and it's not an unknown concept to me. This is Unfuck Your Habitat by Rachel Hoffman. I have followed UFYH on Tumblr for a few years now, and I think I've mentioned before that I use the unfuck method of cleaning, and I love that method, and I've been wanting to buy this book for a long time. It's basically kind of a long form explanation of everything that she already has told you on Tumblr. And one of the things that I really love about this book, besides the tone, her writing is just, it's hysterical. It's profanity laced, which is part of why I like it, but it's really, this book and this method of cleaning is really geared toward people who are really super busy in their life and don't have the time to maintain a Better Homes and Living magazine style house. But it's also really geared toward people who have physical or mental health issues. It breaks down the idea of overwhelming cleaning into really small, manageable chunks of time and really small goals that you can then build on to keep your space clean, which is why I love it so much. So some of the stuff that she advocates is make your bed every single morning because that starts you off with a feeling of productivity. I mean, sure. I'm really lazy with making my bed. It's either I'll just sloppily pull the sheets up or I'll fold them at the foot of the bed. So I have trouble with that. And then there's her How to Unfuck Tomorrow Morning Tonight, which is, these are the things that you do before you go to bed so that when you wake up tomorrow, they're not looming over you. Wash the dishes in your sink, get your outfit for tomorrow together, including accessories, and set up your coffee, tea, or breakfast. Make your lunch, put your keys somewhere obvious, take your medication and set out your meds for the morning, charge your electronics, pour a little cleaner in the toilet bowl if you don't have pets or children or sleep-walking adults, set your alarm and go to bed at a reasonable hour. So like, it's really practical, actionable stuff. She makes the whole process really funny. So I'm happy that I now finally own this book. I've wanted this book for over a year. So this is an excellent Amazon binge purchase. So yeah, I think this little library is going to be really helpful for me. And I don't want to like overwhelm myself by starting all of these books at once and doing all of them every day, because that's a great way to never touch any of them again. But I think the various techniques in these different books, it's a really good beginner's mental health library. And that's one of my other goals, is I want to build myself a mental health library. So this is an excellent start, and I'm looking forward to utilizing all of these books. So that is me this week. Aside from the therapy session that my darling Eileen and I are doing later this week. But yeah, be safe, be sane, and I think I want to leave you with, find your word for this year, whether it's gentle or trust or clarity, some word that resonates with you that you can nurture and nourish for this coming year. Because dear God, we have to find ways to make 2021 better than 2020 was. Oh my Lord. So yeah, I'm gonna leave you with that. Find your word for the year.